It was an almost unimaginable number. More than 5 million Americans turned out in small towns and big cities all across the country for those No Kings protests against the Trump administration back in June. That No Kings Day protest, that one day in June, is considered to be one of the 3 largest days of peaceful protest ever in U.S. history. There were so many demonstrations on No Kings Day in June that when we covered them here on this show the following day, we had to show them in batches of 20 to even scratch the surface of how many of them there were. Well, now the second No Kings Day is just around the corner. It's this Saturday, October 18th. And the organizing effort around it so far indicates that it might be even bigger this time around. In June, for those huge protests, they got like 2,100 different protests. This time for Saturday, organizers are expecting more than 2,500, even more than we saw in June. Joining us now is Ezra Levin. He's co-founder and co-executive director of Indivisible, the group that has helped lead the organizing for the No Kings rallies. Mr. Levin, it's nice to see you. Thanks for being here.
Great to see you, Rachel.
What are you expecting for Saturday?
I'm expecting it to be huge. I'm expecting it to be boisterous. I'm expecting it to be joyful. It's going to be the place to be, Rachel. I mean, it really is. I hope people are, we're doing big things here, right? We're collectively fighting for democracy. That's big, that's serious. Trump is saber rattling, and that can be scary. But fundamentally, what this is about is everybody coming together and demonstrating we don't do kings in America. And they're going to have funny signs. There's going to be chanting. There's going to be dancing. There's going to be singing. We want this to be a place where anybody can come out. And it doesn't matter your ideological persuasion. It doesn't matter who you voted for before. It doesn't matter if you've never protested before. This is a place for you if you believe we don't do kings in this country.
We're in this moment where Republican leaders, particularly House Speaker Mike Johnson, but also other Republicans, have tried to really fearmonger about the No Kings protest. He said it was a planned Hate America rally, which made me laugh out loud. But I have to ask, obviously they're trying to scare people into not protesting or trying to make it seem like a scary thing. On the other side, we've got protests in Portland erupting into dance parties and everybody with Cher on the boombox and dancing inflatable frogs and everything. How do you, what do you make of the Republican effort to really demonize protest against Trump?
Look, on the one hand, I welcome the free publicity. I'm glad they're talking about what will be the largest peaceful protest in modern American history coming up on Saturday. And it's also funny that they can't actually say No Kings. They've got to make some other name up for it because they understand it. They say No Kings. How is that objectionable?
Right.
How could anybody say that that's anything other than the most American thing since apple pie? But I do think we have to hold two things in our head at the same time. One, anybody who's been to a protest this year that's been organized by Indivisible or No Kings has seen moms and grandmas and kids and dogs and funny chants, and it was a feeling of joyous power out in the streets. And on the other hand, we've got an authoritarian regime who wants to crack down on free speech. So we should show up in force, and we should take care. We should attend the security training briefings. We should attend the how to de-escalate briefings and trainings. We should do that work so that if anything happens at these protests, we're ready to do it. But if your First Amendment rights are under attack and you decline to show up because of those threats, you don't have First Amendment rights. So if anybody is out there watching this and is like, well, I don't know, I've never been to a protest, or I'm hearing a lot of gnarly stuff from this regime, and maybe I won't come out. Let me tell you, it's going to be fun, it's going to be powerful, and it's going to be part of history.
What about the trainings that you have been doing? We talked about this last time I spoke with you. We talked about it, that in addition to organizing demonstrations, in addition to organizing political action where you're asking people to, contact their elected officials about something they're doing right or something they're doing wrong, you've also started doing this movement building work of training people in nonviolence, training people in communications tactics, training people to organize other people along those lines. How are those trainings going?
Pretty incredible, Rachel. So coming out of the first No Kings protest, we had 2,169 events. There were 5 to 6 million people out. And what we funneled folks into was a training series on strategic non-cooperation. So that means not just focusing on your elected officials. That's good. Look, I like that. We call members of Congress. We show up at members of Congress's offices. I think that's good advocacy. But we have to recognize this regime is not just passing laws or issuing executive orders. It's threatening media institutions, universities, businesses, law firms, and we've got to wield our power to buck up those institutions that might otherwise fail. I think case in point is Disney and ABC News with Kimmel, him being bullied off the air, mass protests, mass opposition, and suddenly Disney finds some courage.
Yeah.
If you want courage to spread, you've got to spread that courage yourself. But that means focusing where you actually have leverage. So doing trainings coming out of these big protest events are a way to go from one day of protest to sustained opposition to the regime. And that's what we need.